Chuki beat.
Hey guys, welcome to our new show, B2B, Back to the Basics. My co-host Folk Art, and we got Spade Drop 187. He's going to be our dude that we are going to use to teach how to mix, and we're going to take you through some of the basics to get you on the road. Real quick, it's nice to see everybody on a Wednesday. We usually check you guys out on Sundays on our regular show at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, DIY Mixers Crew. But we feel that we want to put some more content out there for you guys, and we figured that, what the heck, I talked to a few friends, and they figured it would be a good idea for us to throw this out there for you guys, get some more content, teach some people some basics. And you always hear those people say, so, hey, you want to mix? Well, you guys are going to mix. This is what our goal is to start you off from the beginning and take you all the way up to where you can create your own recipes and share them with the public like we do weekly. Folks.
Oh, you froze on us, David.
Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Sir.
Okay. I said, so we got a little outline going on, Folk Art. So what are we going to go over today? So real quick, though, before we I give it over to you, Folk Art, we're going to talk about some of the basic stuff today, like propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, nicotine, some of the basic DIY supplies that you're going to need to start mixing. We kind of outlined, we're going to show you a few websites, this, that, and the other. We're going to take it slow for you guys. I mean, we can honestly probably do a 2-3 hour show, and that's it, and then just set you out on your own. But we want to kind of like walk you through this every week, every Wednesday, and we want to teach Spade Drop along the way. Folk Art. So let's begin. Let's talk about some stuff. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, first of all, I think we should let Spade Drop introduce himself and tell everyone a little bit about himself and how he got into vaping, maybe why he wants to get into DIY.
So, say hello to my fellow new beginners. My name is obviously Spade Drop 187. I'm here to learn the basics, and I'm talking down to the bare basics. I got connected with these guys through a mutual friend, and feel very appreciative and lucky to be here. I got into vaping because, honestly, because my child, he asked me if I was going to die from smoking cigarettes, and changed my whole aspect of, nicotine cigarettes and everything like that. When the federal laws came in a couple years ago, I kind of fell out of it. found some new people to get in touch with, and now I'm really interested, and I'm really eager to learn. So let's get it started, boys.
Awesome,
dude.
awesome. So, real quick though, how long? Actually, we had a little interview with you last week when we talked a little bit. Actually, how long was you a smoker, and how long have you been vaping, man?
Honestly, I was probably smoking since my mid-teens, I guess you could say.
Okay.
And I would say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I got into vaping when it was still like prepackaged cartridges, like you can't charge this, you can't charge that. Got into a little bit of modifications, and then it just kind of fell out, because I guess honestly because the hype fell out here.
Yeah.
But I'm not into the hyper stuff. I'm into being an individual.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been vaping for quite some time, but intermittently, off and on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's cool, man. So yeah, basically, I mean, we're going to teach you a lot of stuff that's going to save you a ton of money. I know you said that when we had our little interview, you really never figured about DIY. You pretty much just bought commercial juice, and that was kind of like your vaping style. Yeah, so I'm kind of glad that you decided that you wanted to take on DIY. And it's something that we're passionate about. And for the people in the audience, I see, a couple great people in there. LabWorks is in there. Pippa's in there. I see James is in there. I seen Mike in there. I seen Aaron in there. All these guys are passionate about vaping too. And it's something that we do day in and day out. For some of us, it's a hobby. Some of us, it's their life. It's their business, But so basically, we're going to start talking to Folkart. If you want to start talking about some of the basic needs that people actually need to get into DIY. Real quick though, guys, like for you guys out there that are getting into DIY, making your own e-liquid, it's not a huge investment. Some of the websites and stuff that we're going to show you today are cost effective. I mean, it's not like you're going to be spending an arm and a leg to get this stuff. To be honest with you, say if you vape a juice that you buy at your brick and mortar for $20 for 30 mils, just think of it as like whatever you spend a week on juice or 1 or 2 weeks would probably get you everything that you need to get started into making your own e-liquid. Think of it that way. It's only maybe $100 or so, maybe, to get started on some stuff that you actually need.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Folk.
Yeah. When I first started mixing, my goal was to just be able to make an all-day vape juice, something that I could vape all day long, and try to save some money because I was spending about $50 a week just on commercial juice. Spending maybe another $10 a week on coils because I was using sub-ohm tanks. I wasn't building my own coils either, and so it started getting pretty expensive. I mean, much more expensive than it was for cigarettes. So that was kind of my goal, and to create an all-day vape, a simple all-day vape, you can probably get out for less than $40 that will produce a really nice all-day vape for a month or two or more, depending on how much nicotine you buy and things. So the main ingredients that you need to make juice, number one is propylene glycol, which is it's a flavor carrier, and it's what goes in your juice to make the flavors more, have a better flavor. It's also like a preservative, I suppose. You need vegetable glycerin.
I believe we have a question.
I'm sorry, what?
I believe we have a question coming up.
Okay.
Somebody had a question?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was the question?
What was it in the chat?
Yeah. So if someone has a question, if they will tag DIY Mixers Crew in the chat so that we can see it more clearly. If somebody just asks a question and doesn't tag us, it's kind of hard to catch. So just just put at DIY Mixers Crew, and then type in your question so that way we can see it easier. So the vegetable, yes.
Getting back to what Folk Art was saying, the propylene glycol and the vegetable glycerin, basically a propylene glycol is a synthetic organic compound that's used to, it's an odorless compound that's used for carrying agent for flavors. It has like a soft, faintly sweet taste to it. It's got water in it, a couple other chemicals. I mean, I'm not a chemist, but that's basically what a propylene glycol is. It's thinner than vegetable glycerin. But go ahead, Folk Art.
So the vegetable glycerin, there's basically two types. One is a palm base, and the other is a soy base. It's best to use the palm based VG, and most DIY supply vendors only carry the palm based. There is a couple out there that you can choose whether it's palm or soy, but just make sure that you get the palm based. That's what we use in DIY. And then you have your flavorings, and there's a lot of companies out there that has a lot of different flavorings. We'll get more in depth on that as we go through the shows, and this show's probably only going to be about 30 minutes long. It's not going to be. Hopefully we can keep it down to 30 minutes to 45 minutes, but we'll go into the flavorings more in depth in later shows. And then your nicotine. So now nicotine comes in PG or VG, propylene glycol or vegetable glycerin. So some people, most people prefer the PG because it's easier to mix, easier to shake up. When you start to use the nicotine, it's always good to really shake it really good to get it all mixed up, because that nicotine will settle to the bottom sometimes, so you want to shake that up real good. The vegetable glycerin based nicotine is a little harder to shake. I use that because I am actually PG sensitive, and we can talk more about that in later shows too. But so the nicotine comes in VG and PG, and there's different levels of nicotine. There's different strengths of nicotine. So when you buy nicotine, you can get it in, I think it's 24 milligrams, 48 milligrams, and 100 milligrams. I think that's the three basic percentages.
Oh, yeah, it also depends on what vendor you go through. I know when I first started mixing, I actually bought 3 milligram, 100% vegetable glycerin nicotine, and I mixed down. So actually, I wasn't really vaping a 3. I was vaping like a 2.8, milligram nicotine.
Yeah.
But to touch on what you were saying though is about shaking it. Yeah, that is important. But if you go to a reputable vendor that makes very good nicotine, that we're going to get into that, if they do the process right, and it's formulated right, you don't have to shake it, but it's always safe to shake it just to make sure if it settles, like Folk Art said. But there's a few companies out there. We can always talk offline and put some stuff in the chat, throw it up on the Facebook page. If you guys, are timid about using really high nicotine, you can start very low, like a 3 milligram, if that's the case. But go ahead, Folk. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So when it comes to nicotine, the thing that you have to understand is that when you talk about 100 milligram nicotine, what 100 milligram nicotine means is that there's 100 milligrams of pure nicotine in 1 kiloliter of propylene glycol or vegetable glycerin. So it's not 100% nicotine; it's 100 milligram nicotine per liter, and so that's pretty important to know. And when you formulate your recipes and we start getting into that, you can plug those numbers in the e-juice calculator, and it'll automatically tell you the right percentages to use. So we're going to be talking about those, where to get those, the VG, the PG, the nicotine, and I can actually bring up one of our go-to vendors that I like to go to, which is Liquid Barn. Liquid Barn has really been good to DIY Mixers crew. They sent us a coupon code to share with everybody, and the coupon code is Mixers crew. If you go to their website and put that in the for the coupon, you get 15% off on your total order, which is pretty damn cool. And I think is it $50, David, that you get free shipping? Yeah. So if you order, say, like $60 worth of VG, PG, and Nick, you actually get it shipped for free and get it for around $50, which is pretty cool. And so they have VG, PG, they have nicotine. It's some of the best nicotine that I've tried. It's called Nick Select. It's a really good quality nicotine. So check out Liquid Barn for that.
Now, getting back to the nicotine thing, when you were talking about that, I'm sure Spade Drop, this is some information for you that since you're becoming new to mixing, like say a full flavor cigarette, like whether it be a Marlboro or whatever, there's usually 2.4, so it'll be 24 milligram almost nicotine in a full flavor cigarette. So that's basically the equivalent of smoking one cigarette, is roughly around 18 to 24 milligrams of nicotine off of one cigarette. So when Folk Art was trying to explain to the people out there in the audience about, the different strengths of the nicotine, when we actually take those steps and start to get into mixing, that's some of the stuff that we're going to talk about, the different strengths of the nicotine. But go ahead, Folk Art. Yeah, Liquid Barn. I love Liquid Barn. I get my nicotine from them. Their nicotine is smooth. They have great packaging. Their shipping's not bad. They use Nick Select with the discount. It's good shit. And I actually switched over to pure propylene glycol 100% now. It's easier to mix with, but I know Folk Art's PG sensitive. But go ahead.
Yeah. David, I actually, 007, I have a question for you. My statement about the 100 milligram nicotine, that is correct that it's 100 milligram per liter, right?
I believe so.
Because somebody in the chat said it was 100 milligram per milliliter. That can't be true.
That's not right.
Milligram.
Sorry, my internet connection went unstable.
Yeah, if it was a milliliter, it'd be 1,000. That'd be 1,000 grams.
Yes. Be 1,000 grams. And that we only want to talk about that. You need hazmat suits and shit. So forget you even heard 1,000 milligram. You don't even want to even touch that shit. So, honestly, this is honestly for you new people out there that are starting to mix. I wouldn't honestly, first time mixer, I wouldn't buy 100 milligram nicotine. That's once you start getting them more advanced, then you can probably graduate to, if you feel comfortable with it, yeah, you're going to have to wear gloves and all that shit. But, you can always get 25 or you can get, like Folk Art said, 50 or something like that. You don't have to start that high, because I know that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't want to get into DIY, because they know the dangers of nicotine and how dangerous it can be to get it onto your skin, this, that, and the other. So it kind of shies people away from getting into mixing, because they have that fear that, I don't want to touch that shit. But, if you're trained properly and you do it the right way, you use the proper equipment to do it, once you get used to it, it's nothing that's, you get used to it. It won't be scary anymore. Because I know when I first started mixing, I was nervous as shit, man, because I had nobody out there teaching me what to do. And when I bought my first, I was using 3 milligram and I was putting gloves on, because there was nothing odd about really mixing when I first started, but 3 milligram probably wouldn't have did anything to me. But back then when I first started mixing, I didn't know, you know what I mean? But just be aware out there, people, nicotine is dangerous. When you use it, wear gloves. Wear gloves.
Absolutely.
Maybe we could touch on that also. If we could touch on that, the proper safety issues that come into play, I believe that would be helpful too.
Yeah. Okay. So when I mix, I always use gloves, and I try to, and I especially did when I first started mixing. So here's a here's a source of some really good gloves that you can get. You can get it at Harbor Freight. They're 5 mil nitro powder-free gloves. You can get, I think it's maybe 100 for like $8. These are really cheap, and they'll come in real handy. So I'll always try to wear gloves when you're messing with nicotine, because if you get it on your skin, it may not kill you, but it could, especially if it's the 100 milligram nicotine. So just be really careful with that. Other than that, now I know David has mentioned several times about some of the flavorings. It says not to get those on your skin as well. I don't think it's that big of an issue, but
with anything, you have a dermal absorption with anything that gets on your skin. These are chemicals, guys. So, I mean, that's what it is. It's chemical compounds mixed together, the volatiles, to make the flavors. You're using propylene glycol, that stuff, and they are super concentrated flavorings. So, I'm not saying that they'll get you sick, but I know people that in the perfume industry, in the cologne industry, that mix with like sandalwood and shit like that they can't get that stuff on their skin either, because it'll absorb into your skin and it'll make you sick. Yeah. I'm not saying it will, but just to be safe, always wear gloves. I mean, I think people get the point on that. We can move on to other things about supplies.
So we can we're going to be talking about flavorings, obviously, and where to buy those flavorings. Bull City Flavors is my go-to for flavorings. They have a really good selection. Just about all that they carry, just about all the vendors. So check those out. And if you use our DMC6 coupon code, you get 6% off of your order. So check those guys out. Like I say, we'll get more into the flavorings and things.
Free shipping over $75.
Yeah, free shipping
over $75.
Yep.
Super fast shipping, guys, too. I mean, them son of a bitches, you order something you get that, what is it, the USPS priority mail. That's usually 2-day shipping, and they get that shit out pretty much the same day if you order before like 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And it'll be in a mail that day, and you'll get it in a couple days.
Yeah.
Like 2 days.
And and when it comes to mixing, I recommend using mixing by weight. You can use syringes, but there's more cleanup, and it takes just a little bit longer. So I suggest purchasing a set of scales. I found these on eBay. This is what I use. It's the LB501. And when it comes to scales, make sure, even if you don't buy these, make sure that you get some gram scales that goes to the 0.00 to the 100th, because if not, your grams, when you make small batches, you won't be able to get the percentages right. It needs to go to the 100th. It's that small of amount of weight. So make sure that you purchase those. And so
now, real quick, folks, before you move on about the scale, there's some people. I mean, it's $22 or 20 some bucks, like he said, on Amazon. You got Amazon Prime, you get two-day free shipping. It's worth it. But some people in other countries, I mean, you can source a jeweler scale somewhere, but if you do want to use a syringe, they make them in various sizes. When I first started mixing.
We lost David.
What's that?
You just froze for a moment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of sizes syringes that you guys can get there too if you guys don't feel comfortable mixing with the scale. But they do come in different sizes. Like this one here's a 3 millimeter syringe that I use for mixing. It's pretty much the same principle. Instead of mixing by weight, you will mix by milliliters, depending on what you're doing. Now, some people with their nicotine, now I've noticed this, some mixers do this, like everyday mixers like us. They'll mix by weight, but then when they add their nicotine, they'll use a syringe. They just feel that it's more safer that way for them. However you guys want to do it, either way it'll get you to the same end goal, to make that juice. You can either use a scale, syringes, either way. Bull City Vapes, I know they carry a lot of supplies, like the bottles, the syringes, the cotton, the PGVG, all that stuff that Folkart was talking about. But go ahead, Folk.
Yeah, so we'll be also talking about maybe some coil builds We'll be talking about different atomizers and what are some really good atomizers for flavor. We will be talking about flavor pairings, and also when you start to as a beginning mixer, it's probably a good idea not to go out and just buy 100 or 200 flavorings, because some of them you may not like, some of them you may not use very often. So when you decide you want to do this, then you need to try to find a recipe, say like on All the Flavors. It's a website, alltheflavors.com. It's a really awesome website, awesome mixers on there, awesome recipes. When you find a recipe that you like, then just buy the flavorings for that recipe and mix that recipe up as your first recipe instead of trying to create your own recipe in the beginning. You need to get some practice, get used to using the nicotine, the VG, the PG, and things like that. So that's some of the things that we're going to be talking about. And guys, I'm sorry if I misspoke on the 100 milligram nicotine. I'm seeing that it's 100 milligrams per milliliter. Okay, so I apologize for that. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to lead Spade Drop. We're going to lead him on his path to become a mixer, and hopefully by the end of our journey, he'll be able to make him some real nice all-day vapes. And So
I mean, here's the deal, guys. Basically, we're going to start from scratch, like we're new mixers. This here might be boring for a lot of advanced mixers and stuff like that, but for beginners, it's exciting. They want to go on that journey to become and to get into DIY, and it can be a difficult one. And this is one of the reasons why that we are here, is to help a lot of the new people out that want to take that journey into mixing. When you first start out, I mean, you're not going to be, like Folk Art says, go on All the Flavors. There is a lot of advanced mixers on there that put out their recipes, and you're going to look at them and you're not going to understand them. But that's something that we are going to teach you to do. We're going to teach you to understand those recipes, on why a certain artist used those percentages in a recipe. But when you kind of like mix those up, like Folk Art was saying, and you try them, then and when you're ready, that you feel that you can start doing recipe creation, they don't have to be those elaborate recipes like you see on ATF. Simple 2-3 flavor mixes. I know Pippa, we had a little mixing challenge on her show a week or two ago. It was 3 flavors. She said, pick 3 flavors. We're going to see how fast we can mix these flavors. I think we all mixed it up under a minute. And this is how easy this is, guys. 2-3 flavor recipes when you first start out. They're enjoyable. Like Folk Art said, they're all-day vapes. And then you can just keep progressing and advancing, and then you get into more intermediate stuff like flavor testing, taking notes, stuff like that, and really getting into recipe creation on your own. Now, I know Folk Art had put a list together. I don't know if he's going to mention it. He put, I think it was a 25 flavor list for beginners maybe that they should pick up.
Yeah, Absolutely. I'll pull that up here in just a second. There was a question about bottles in the chat here. A really good place to buy bottles. This is where I buy my bottles, and I buy all plastic just because I mix so much. They're cheaper to buy than the glass bottles. But here's the website. It is dropperbottles.com. Now, the only thing about this is that when you buy them, you're buying 100 at a time. So you can't buy just 25 or 50. You have to buy 100 at a time. But it's, as far as price goes, this is the best price that I've found. Now, if you want just a few bottles to start out with, you can go to Bull City Flavors. They sell bottles. I think it's Bull City Flavors. That or So they sell
Bull City
small
sells
quantities.
them.
I'm sorry, what?
You can't. They're a little bit more expensive. I think they might be like $1.75, but it's still cheaper than if you was to buy like a Chubby Gorilla bottle, like a brick and mortar. I know you guys that are just coming off of commercial juices. A lot of those commercial vape shops do sell the Chubby Gorilla bottles. Now, getting back to the bottles with plastic, I personally use LDPE plastic. It's sort of like a food grade plastic. When I mix into a plastic bottle, that's the kind of bottles I use. Some people prefer glass dripper bottles, and being a new person, you might not know what they're called. They're called Boston. So you can Google Boston, 30 ml bottles. Just do a Google search on Boston glass, and bunch of websites will come up that you can pick. But that website that Folkart said, that's a good spot. I know there is actually a discount code for that. I don't know if that's still ongoing. I think I used it last time when I bought bottles.
If everyone wants the discount codes to everything that we mentioned here, they can go to our Facebook page, DIYMixersCrew.com. Just join the group, and in the file section, there's a list of discount codes to dropper bottles and Bull City flavors and Liquid Barn and some others in there. So check that out if you get a chance. So we
the website does have all the links. The website does have all the links.
All this stuff is accessible. So all this stuff is accessible by the average.
Oh yeah,
yes.
You can go online and get all this stuff that you necessarily need. And Spade, like I said, if you feel I know. Shout out to Digital Graham. He has a Stopgap show every Thursday after In the Mix. But the thing is, like, you have him with you, like, to help you along the way, one-on-one, like the stuff that we're talking about, which is great. But a lot of people don't. So when, like I said about the 100 milligram nicotine, guys, if you feel uncomfortable getting it and you want to get into mixing, just don't go that high. Get a 25 or 50. Milligram.
Yeah, it does.
Mixing for dummies, and I'm the dummy.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you use that 24 or the 48 or whatever milligram nicotine. When you do the recipe, if you want a 3 milligram vape, then that calculator is going to figure that for you. So don't worry about getting the low nicotine.
Yeah, you're mixing.
Yeah. So we picked out some some flavorings that every mixer kind of needs in their arsenal. And I'm going to throw these up and let everybody take a look at them. So these are just some staples of a mixer. Now, you can't make every recipe with all these because there's, 10,000 flavorings. But this is a good start. Cap vanilla custard is awesome flavor. That you can make some really nice custards with. And y'all can read down through this list, and I will post this list in the Discord, and I will also post it in on our Facebook page. And if you want to join our Discord group, I'll throw up a link there toward the end of the show here. So this is just some suggestions on things to purchase to get started. But now for a mixer that has never mixed anything before, I would suggest actually going to all the flavors and checking out a couple simple recipes and just buy those flavorings, because these are tested recipes. They're flavorful. They're pretty simple to mix up. Here's one called mustard milk, and very popular recipe, and it only has 2 flavors.
Yeah, that's an old one.
It's just 2 flavors.
Yeah, that's an old one.
Super simple. You can mix this up, and this can be your all-day vape when you first get started. Save ton of money. So,
what's that? Isn't that like vanilla bean ice cream and strawberry or something?
Yeah, it's TPA strawberry at 6% and TPA vanilla bean ice cream at 8%. Now, TPA stands for the Flavor Apprentice for new beginners. I don't know why it's TPA. Yeah, and TFA, TPA is the same company. Yeah.
That's another thing, guys. You're going to get confused with that, and that's it might be stupid to some of those advanced mixers out there that are watching this, but it's not to you. Right. You're going to get confused when you see recipes that say FW, CAP, TFA, LB, MB, INW, and that's just abbreviations for all the flavor manufacturers out there, or concentrate manufacturers out there. And we'll actually, what I'm going to do tonight for you guys on our Facebook page, for you new guys out there, is all the abbreviations that they got out there for concentrates. I'm going to get those abbreviations, and then I'm going to put actually what they are next to it, so you guys know when you go on to like Bull City. But Bull City, usually you can shop by flavor on there, like Capella or Flavor West or Inuera or whoever, and you'll see the abbreviation with it. Oh, that's another thing too about flavors, guys. You don't have to purchase like a 30 ml bottle of flavor. I would suggest getting just like a 10 ml size bottle. I know Capella, they carry the original Capella bottles, so those are 13. But just get the smallest bottle for now. And then once you feel that you really like that flavor, you can go on and purchase bigger, 30 mil or 2 ounce, 4 ounce bottles. But that 10 mil bottle is going to last you a long, long time. When I first started mixing, I got a little 10 mil bottle of flavor in like this, and I'm like, what the fuck? What is this? Seriously, like this is going to last me like a day. Cause I used to vape like 30 mils a day. I'm like, this is like shit. Like I paid what, $2-3 for this and it's 10 mils. But honestly, you can probably make 300 mils of juice just out of this little bottle, if not more. So, 10 mils plenty. 10 mils plenty. You know what I mean? You don't need super sized bottles. That's one of the mistakes that I made when I first started mixing. I was buying 4 ounces and 2 ounce bottles, and you don't need that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. And so here is another recipe that's a pretty simple recipe to start out with, and like I say, you can just buy these flavorings for this recipe, so you're not spending so much money on those 25 maybe that I posted up. Just something to get you started. It's Sugar Cookies and Cream by Chris Driver 1. Excellent mixer. This is a little more this is a little more complex, so but it's a really good recipe. Y'all can check that out if you want to get those flavors. I think the only flavor that I'm missing in that list of 25 in this recipe is TPA butter. So if you get those 25, just add the TPA butter to it, and that's a really nice recipe.
Yeah, you figure like on Bull City, flavors range anywhere from like $1.75. Just like your mainstream, when you start getting into the Flavora line and the INW, like the Inueras, they're a little bit more expensive, maybe $1 or $2 more. But you figure, say they're roughly $2. You're buying 10 mil bottles. You're picking out 20 or 25. You're spending like $40 on flavors. Shipping's like probably $5-6. So your initial investment, guys, is probably going to be mainly in your flavors, your PG, your VG, and your nicotine. Now, to touch on that, there's various size bottles. When we talked about the propylene glycol and the vegetable glycerin, you can buy, 250 mil, 100 mil. You don't have to buy about a gallon. You know what I mean? Bull City Flavors or Liquid Barn, they do offer, you can buy like 250 mils of propylene glycol, 250 mils of vegetable glycerin, and then buy, I would say, honestly, I wouldn't even start off with a liter of nicotine because that'll last you a very long time. You could probably even start off with a 250 mil bottle of nicotine just to get started with. You don't have to go super high.
Yeah,
try to keep the expense down. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I generally buy I think it's the 125 milliliters of nicotine from Liquid Barn. It's either 125 or 150, and they're small enough where I can actually buy several of them. And so if I buy 3 of them, I put 2 in the freezer. And that's one thing that we can talk about in some later shows on storage of some of these things. The nicotine, you can freeze if you have large amounts of it, but when you start to use it, you have to get that out, make it completely come up to room temperature before you start using it, or the nicotine honestly, may settle. But
we're kind of getting off topic here, I think.
But don't
worry about freezing nicotine. Keep it in a cool, dry storage, dark, and you're fine.
But
unless you live in like 120 degree temperatures.
But my point was
like Vegas.
Yeah, but my point was that try to get the smaller bottles of the nicotine, but you don't want to buy a large amount at one time.
Yeah, keep it small, guys. 20-25 flavor concentrates, maybe a 500 mil of VG, 250 mil propylene glycol, because unless you're making a 50-50 blend, honestly, you're probably going to need more vegetable glycerin than you are propylene glycol, because a lot of the flavors that you guys are going to be using, Dave, the flavors that you're going to be using are pretty much suspended in propylene glycol. So you already have all that in there already. I mean, there are some flavor companies out there that do have vegetable glycerin in them. Not too many anymore on the market, but you could still get them for PG sensitive people that can't vape PG at all. Some people, but you could probably end up getting like a smaller bottle of propylene glycol versus the vegetable glycerin. Keep it as small as possible, because then again, like I said, you got a 10 ml bottle. That's, if you mix this solo, you'll probably get a 10%. You'll get 300 mils of juice out of it. These two bottles combined are probably about 250 mils a piece. You combine that together, guys, that's 500 mils. Okay, divide that by 30. Think about how much you're going to be making just out of these two. It's going to last you a long time. Once you start getting into a more intermediate mixing with flavor testings and taking notes and stuff like that, then you might want to consider buying larger quantities, because you're going to be, blowing through that stuff. Not like an extreme rate, but you're going to be, doing a flavor testing, so you're going to be using a lot more of that, base for your nicotine. Now, me and Folk Art's been rambling on. We're coming up on time. We're only 10 minutes over. This is the first show. We're working on some of the bugs. I want to hear from Dave. I want to see what his thoughts are. I want to see, I know he's excited about it just as we are. What are some of the questions you got out there for us right now, Dave, that you want to ask us, that you feel that, you kind of got lost on, that what me and Folk Art talked about in the last couple minutes? What's going through your mind right now? Like, what do you kind of like lost on? We can answer that for you.
To be honest with you, boys, I'll be straight and honest with you. A lot of them, most of the vocabulary you guys are using is a little confusing, like you said, with the abbreviations for certain companies and things like that.
Yeah.
I just want to that I'm and also with with the nicotine that you were talking about, with the dangerous levels of that. I mean, that was totally, blindsiding me about that. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much everything. I love the introductions of everything that we're going to talk about, and I'm really eager to learn, like, really the specifics of every point of view of mixing your own juices, everything like that. I'm really into the certain degrees of everything. I just want to learn everything. So, I mean, obviously it's going to be mumbo jumbo to me and to certain viewers at this time, but I hope we can break it down as we go along, and we can hit specific topics, and you know what I mean? So we can totally understand, because I want to understand from point 0 to point 100. Everything I want to understand, to be safe and make the best juices out, and things like that. You know what I mean?
And that's some of the things that we're going to, like, this is just basic stuff. And that's some of the things.
I'm excited, man. I'm at a loss for words. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm really excited. I'm glad to be a part of this. And
some of the things that we're going to cover, we really didn't go over any technical stuff today, because, but some of the stuff that we are going to get into is we're going to get into flavor percentages. We're going to get into juice ratios. Like, when you go to a vape store, that a person that's never mixed before, I mean, they might know what an 80-20 or a 75-25 is, but we're going to get down to the nitty gritty and tell you exactly what that means from that level. In the mixing. We lost Dave. I don't know if he's still there or not, but anyhow, that's that ongoing on the show. That's when we're going to start, and we're going to get down and we're going to explain all that stuff to you guys. Basically, today was just an introduction on what this show is going to be about. We wanted to introduce Dave, but we just kind of wanted to throw some stuff out there on, the basics that you need to get started. And then starting next week, we're going to start talking about flavor percentages, ratios, all this stuff. So, it's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. Yeah. So, we're going to throw a lot of stuff up on the Facebook page tonight about all the stuff that we covered. Make sure you join the Facebook group. That way you can keep updated on this information that we're throwing out there for you guys. Other than that, Dave, if you have any questions for us, feel free to ask them now. Anybody in the chat, feel free to ask the questions. If not, we're going to probably get out of here for today. And then
I just want to put on any question. I mean, because I feel stupid asking questions, but I want to.
No, dude, ask anything. It's not
great.
stupid.
No question is a stupid question. Yes. Every question is a great question. Let's get it all out there, so we all know we're all educated, and it's more advancement for everybody. So no question is a stupid question.
Yep.
the
Yeah.
people coming in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, any questions that you guys got, feel free to ask. But like next week, like I said, we're gonna kick us off next week full fledged, and we're gonna get down into the nitty gritty, and we're gonna teach y'all guys how to mix. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna create some great recipes. Dave's gonna learn some great stuff. He's gonna create some great recipes. And speaking of Graham, you're always hitting up Graham. Hey, give me some of that juice. You're going to be making the juice, and he's going to be wanting it off of you pretty soon. So,
That's right.
Oh yeah, you should
going to be
have tried my pre-sample of stuff I just made. It's awesome.
Hey guys.
Yes.
Hey, Leilani had a question. She says, "Are there links for reading material
Yes.
you can refer to at DIY Mixers Crew?"
Yes, we will provide those for you guys out there. All the links for some beginner stuff. We'll find some websites for you guys that you can do some reading. But another cool thing too is we just opened up a Zoom room for our regular channel, for the DIY Mixers Crew channel, for guys just to go in there and pop in anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, that's another good thing too. So if you're a new mixer and you got a couple buddies that you're new mixers too, and you want to use that Zoom room, it's free. All you got to do is download the app. We paid for the service. All you got to do is just go in there and talk face to face to somebody that's a new mixer and discuss anything, about mixing. And you'll probably catch an advanced mixer in there. And if you have any questions, you can probably ask them in there. Ask it on Facebook, anything like that. And, that's one thing that's about the mixing community is, we get along tremendously. Well, at least me is like where I'm at in my mixing career. Like I have no problem that somebody like Dave that has a question like, well, what's propylene glycol, or what's an 80-20, or what percentage is this, or what flavor company is that? Like he said, no question's a stupid question. We're here to answer them for anybody and help you guys out. But I'll stop rambling.
That.
I always ramble. Folk art, if you got any questions out in the chat, hit me up now. Real quick though, before I'm going to ramble a little bit, I want to give a lot of shout outs to people in the chat today. First, I want to really thank Graham Digital Drops for hooking us up with Dave. Like I said, he's done a lot for us, the past couple months, helping us out with guests. He does, have his own show, Stock Gap Show. It's on every Thursday, after In the Mix. And then I see Pippa. Pippa was there. I don't know if she's still there or not. Pippa Star. She has her own channel. We catch her show all the time too. Sorry, Pip, I can't remember because you're in Australia. I know you do yours at like 7 a.m. your time, but it's for my time. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's 7 p.m. Eastern every Monday. I know she throws on her show, and it's a lot of I can't say that word. Oh, just check her out. Yeah, I know. Make fun of me. That's one of the words I can't say. She's an advocate, but I can't say the C at the end. I always mess it up. LabWorks, awesome. JFM Development, awesome. All you guys out there, James, like all you guys out there in the chat, man, phenomenal mixers, phenomenal people. And like I said, special thanks to Graham for hooking us up today, with all this stuff. And this is just going to be awesome. And I think it's going to be awesome for a lot of the new mixers out there in the community, because I think that's and I stress this even on our show that we have every Sundays is, new mixers are a key to the survival of DIY mixing. Because a lot of people, they reach a certain point in their mixing career and they just kind of they don't get bored with it, but I don't know. I don't get bored with it, but having newcomers, it keeps it exciting and it keeps everybody wanting to mix.
We are the children, and the children are the future.
Yeah, man, and it keeps everybody excited. You know what I mean? Because we were there once, and it's exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it keeps the community strong, and it just builds us stronger and stronger and stronger. I can ramble on about it, but thanks to everybody in the audience. Folk art, you got anything? Daddy Kane, throw it out there.
I think that's it. I just wanted to correct. I misspoke earlier about that nicotine.
Yeah,
it is.
I did too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I'm sorry, guys. We'll get more in depth into the nicotine in future shows. So I apologize for that.
Hey, before we leave, folk, would you put the link for the Zoom room?
David, can you?
We had a
David, can
Yes.
you throw me
Okay,
that?
here's the thing with this. Yes, we are still in. Now, we do have the room, but we are still in the testing phase. Monday was the first day that it kind of got jacked off. And then I fixed that issue. I reached out to a couple people. They fixed me up on it. Now, you're going to have to join the Facebook group or the Discord because I don't know if I'm going to have to change the meeting ID like every day. You know what I mean? Because the way Zoom operates is when I talk to their tech support, they straight up told me we're not a streaming service. So they time out their meetings regardless every 24 hours. So you can only run a meeting room for 24 hours, and then it automatically either shuts down and then you have to reschedule a meeting. So with that being said, there might be a different meeting ID. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I had it set it yesterday, I think at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it ran all the way to 7 p.m. Eastern time today. And I set it as ongoing. So I don't know if it automatically flipped over with the same meeting ID. So yeah, either join the Discord or the Facebook page, and I will have the links posted to the current Zoom room. Room. I'll have the links posted there every day. I'll update those for you guys that are in the chat or the people that are asking. Once I get a handle on it and it starts running more smoothly, and if I know that I can keep the same meeting ID every day, then it'll just be that one code, and I can post that anywhere, and you guys don't have to check every day. And wait, what's this here? It says after party in the Zoom room, David Haney and DIY. That's fine. I'm up for it for a couple minutes. Whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah.
I'll stick around. I might have to start a new meeting, but I haven't see if my room shut down or not. But you know, but other than that, we ran over a little bit, guys. We want to try to keep these sessions short and simple every week, 30 minutes. We don't want to throw a ton of shit at you every week, you know. So next week, come with a piece of paper and a pencil, write the shit down and rewatch the video. That way, you know, smash that subscribe button. That way you get the updates every week when we come on. That way you newcomers know, you know, because that's one thing. When you subscribe to the channel, it'll automatically send you an email saying, hey, you know, D2B's on, beginner mixing, like with the, you know, back to the basics, you know, we'll be on. And then you can just pop that on or you can rewatch the episodes. That way you guys get updates on that. Other than that, I'm out, guys. We're rambling. We'll see you next week. 30 minutes is too short, Subbait says. Yes, it kind of is. We might extend it. I mean, here's the deal, Subbapes. People lose interest. Us as mixers, I don't. I don't lose interest in mixing. Some of the mixers out there in the community, like Slash Low, Shindo, ID10T, Emmy, like all those people that will sit there and talk in the Discord or the Zoom room. Mike, Pippa now, and Paul, you know, those guys from Australia, Simon. We'll talk for hours like about flavors, but to some people, it's boring. You know what I mean? And they lose interest.
And also for somebody that's a beginner, you know, they might get lost in some of the terminology. So we're going to try to really slow it down and just take a specific topic each Wednesday and just try to really flesh it out so that the beginning mixer can understand it, you know. So it's going to be much slower and more specific. We're not going to be jumping around from nicks to flavor to VG to PG. It's going to be kind of one thing. So that's why we think we can keep it within 30 minutes.
Yes. So next week, you beginner mixers out there, I really appreciate all the advanced mixers in the crowd today. But next week, guys, or today or tomorrow, if you get paid on Fridays or whatever, go out and order yourself some of those flavors. Order some nicotine. Order some propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin. Get a scale, maybe some syringes. We'll get we have those 25 flavors. I think Full Court said he doesn't have one, but I have them all, I think, laying around somewhere in my hundreds and hundreds of whatevers I got on my shelf over there that I got to flavor test. But bring all that shit next week, guys, because you know what? We're going to get in depth, man, and we're going to go over some recipes and ratios and, you know, flavors. And that's another thing, too. I think what a good idea, Folk Art, is what we should do every week for these new mixers out there is we should introduce a new flavor every week in that stash that they got and talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
And about our experiences on how we flavor tested with it. And when they get to that point, they can do their own testing, but we'll give our thoughts on it, on how we think it should be used and what it's used in and this, that, and the other. And it'll be fun.
That sounds
It'll be
good.
real fun.
Yeah, and
All right,
I will post all the links that I threw up for the scales, the flavorings, and all that kind of stuff in the description in YouTube, so everybody can have access to all those links.
All right, man. I'm out, man. I'll see you next week.
All right.
Like I said,
Peace, guys.
get to shopping, guys. We're going to have fun
Yo.
next week.
Keep blowing clouds, y'all.
Yeah.
Peace.
Chuki beat.